Welcome to the Hank Haney Podcast. I am recording on nofilter.net. You can see the Hank Haney Podcast and hear it on nofilter.net. You can also see it on YouTube TV, the Hank Haney channel. And you can hear the Hank Haney Podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. I want to talk about the PGA Championship, and in particular, the first two rounds of the PGA Championship, and in particular, Tiger Woods, his his two and only rounds at the PGA Championship. I had a notion that this would be a good tournament to bet on. So I went to Bet Online. And Bet Online is your number one source for all your summer sports this season, from the MLB, golf, NBA, NHL. You get all the latest stats, news, scores. Everything's available to follow your favorite teams. You get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. You can head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Go to betonline.ag. It's where the game starts. And I went to betonline.ag. And one of the things that caught my eye before the PGA Championship started was the odds on Tiger Woods to make the cut. Now, for years and years and years, I have always said, when people have asked me, who do you like in this tournament? Well, I always say, I like the best player. And for such a long time, that meant that I bet on Tiger Woods every single time. And related to how everybody else is done in professional golf, I mean, consider the fact that Jack Nicklaus, arguably the greatest player in the history of the game. Of course, I think Tiger is, but Nicklaus has the greatest record in terms of major championships. Jack Nicklaus won 12% of his tournaments that he entered in his career. Tiger well above that. There was a period of time where Tiger was winning 50% of his tournaments on the PGA Tour. So I always bet on Tiger Woods, and a lot of the time I would be right. And when Tiger was in his heyday, and he was winning tournaments at a 50% clip, there were tournaments where you would have to lay incredible, it's hard to win a golf tournament. You would have to lay incredible odds to make any money at all if you were going to bet on Tiger Woods. That's just the way it was. I was taken back. I wondered what the odds makers would say about Tiger's chances at the PGA. Now, he hasn't played hardly any golf, and that is a that's obviously a big issue. He's if you look at the tournaments that he's played, the last 8 starts, WD, miscut, tied for 45th, WD. And he came 18th out of 20 at the Hero World Challenge, his tournament in the Bahamas. Then a WD, a 60th place finish at the Masters. He made the cut, but he finished dead last. And then now it's a miscut at the PGA. So it hasn't been good. But I was looking at the odds and I said, okay, what about Tiger making the cut? And if you bet against Tiger making the cut, you had to bet like $100 to win a $50 profit. Those odds are horrible. I mean, we're talking about making the cut, top 70 and ties at the PGA Championship. So the odds makers were telling everyone that they didn't think Tiger Woods was going to make the cut, and they weren't going to lose a lot of money on everybody betting on Tiger Woods missing the cut. I can't get my head around Tiger Woods not playing good. It just, I remember his greatness. I stood alongside it for 6 years, and it is just hard for me to fathom that he wouldn't be in contention, even though he hasn't played and he hasn't practiced. And that's why when after his car accident, I said if he can walk again, he can win again. And I have watched and watched as he's played. Now he hasn't played much, and it's been one surgery after another, and the rehabs and so on and so forth. But he still hits it plenty far enough, so that's not an issue. I know his putting is not an issue, although it hasn't been good. It's not an issue if he practices, and I don't know how much he's practicing. And I felt like his short game has looked pretty good. So one thing, like anything is possible, but anything is not possible if you don't have a chance to practice and you don't play. And they're talking a lot about, and Tiger's talking about, it's not competitively sharp. And there's definitely something to that. I mean, if there wasn't, then you could just waltz out there at major championships and you'd be, good to go. But that's not the case. So you do have to get competitively sharp, but you also have to practice. And I got to thinking about how far removed Tiger is from actually practicing and playing. And I think about back in the day, I was talking to a group of kids the other day, young junior golfers in Chicago, and their coach, who I teach with in Chicago, Chris Olerking, he said, Hank, tell them about how much Tiger used to practice. And I said, okay, here's what he used to do before a major championship. So when I worked with him for 6 years, I would go in to Orlando, go to Isleworth Country Club. That's where Tiger lived, and that's where he practiced and played. And I would get there generally Saturday of the week before the major championship. So we're talking, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days before he was going to tee it up in the major championship. That is the amount of time that we would work together before he teed off on Thursday of a major championship. And the routine that he had, I coined it in my book, The Big Miss, I coined it a Tiger Day. And what Tiger would do is he would get up, and he didn't sleep a lot. So he would get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and he would go to the gym. And then he would come back, and at like 8:30, he would be eating breakfast. And at 9 o'clock, we'd be on the practice tee. And the first thing that we did was we would hit pitch shots and chip shots. That's the first thing he did every morning. Work on the short game and loosen up. And then we go to the range and hit balls. We might hit balls for an hour or so on the range, go through any shots that he thought he would need for the next tournament, and also just working through the whole bag of clubs. Okay. Then we would go play 9 holes. That'd take us up to about lunchtime. We'd go in, we'd eat lunch, and then we'd go back out again. And we would either go to the range and hit a few, or go right back to the golf course and play 9 more holes. After those 9 holes, you go back to the driving range and work on anything that didn't go just right on the golf course that day. And once again, working on shots that could be related to the tournament that was coming up. If it was Augusta, he'd be working on hitting high shots and hitting his draws. And if it was the Open Championship, he'd be working on, hitting low shots or hitting stinger shots off the tee, things like that. Shots that he knew was going to be needed at that upcoming tournament. Okay, so then we would go to the putting green. And he would putt for an hour to 2 hours on the putting green. And I remember one of the first times I ever worked with Tiger before a major championship, because we got done, his day started at 6 o'clock in the morning. He got done at 6 o'clock at night, went to his house. I took a shower and I came downstairs because I thought we were going to eat dinner, and he's in the gym. And he was in the gym working out, and I stuck my head in there and said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm just finishing up my shoulder exercises. And when I'm done, we'll go to dinner." And I thought, my God, I mean, this guy works and works and works and works and works. And that day was over 13 hours long. And it was that way every single day. So thinking about where he is today, it's not just that you can go out there and play a few rounds of golf with your friends or with your son. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the practice, and he's so far removed from practicing and being in that kind of a routine. Forget about the tournament toughness that everybody wants to talk about. How about just the practice? And back injuries and surgeries, and then the car wreck and surgeries and rehab. He's so far removed from playing golf and practicing and putting in the hours. Like how many hours does he have to put in the gym? I mean, it looks like he's putting in a lot of hours in the gym based on the size of his upper body. He's putting in massive amounts of hours, and somehow he has it in his mind. I thought his injury's in his legs, back too. But I somehow he has it in his mind that he needs to be bigger in his upper body, or stronger in his upper body. Whatever he's trying to do, I'm not sure if that makes the most amount of sense, because I remember when he had his knee injury, and his doctor who did his surgery on his knee was a phenomenal orthopedic surgeon out of Utah, Dr. Rosenberg. And he told Tiger, he said, the way your bone structure is that you should weigh 175 pounds. That would be the optimum weight for you. And boy, Tiger didn't want anything to do with that. And as soon as Dr. Rosenberg told him that, I mean, he took it straight up, boom, straight up to 200, and who knows where he is now, but he's obviously putting in time in the gym. You don't look like he does, and you're not as strong and fit as he is at 48 years old without putting in that amount of time. But what I'm wondering about is how much time is spent playing golf. We know there's not a lot of time playing tournament golf. How much time is spent playing golf, practicing, putting, and doing all the things that he used to do to prepare to play in every single tournament, not just major championships, but every single tournament. And the farther you get removed, and he's a long time removed from that kind of practice and that kind of routine, the farther you get removed from that, your skills have to erode. I mean, they just do. A thought that comes to mind is Deshaun Watson, the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. He got into trouble and he sat out. Like, what did he sit out? Like a year or 2 years? And then he came back to play, and they traded all those draft picks for him. And this guy's a great quarterback, but he didn't play. He sat out like 2 seasons, and he didn't play any good when he came back. Like, that's 2 years he sat out. How much time has Tiger sat out since he really played good? So it's just so much that he's up against. But in my mind, I think he's just so great. He knows what it takes. He's got such a wealth of experience. He's so incredibly talented that I thought lightning could strike. I mean, he could catch lightning in a bottle, and if he's in the right place at the right time and gets things going, he would know what to do. But wow, I mean, it is, when I watch him and I see, and I'll tell you what, when I watch Tiger, like I watched him in a few of the shots they showed in the practice rounds, and I keep an eye on his swing, and I'm thinking, man, his follow through looks a little weird. I know he can't bend his back like he needs to. He's kind of really restricted with that. There's no doubt about that. But his backswing looks very good. I mean, I've seen his swing look not so good. I have to be honest with you. In the years that have passed, and my last year helping him was 2010 Masters. In the years that have passed, he's had times when I thought his swing looked awful. I don't think that now. I mean, I think his swing looks really pretty darn good. But he tells everybody, and he tells the media, I have all the shots. I have all the shots. I have all the shots. But I don't I don't really see all the shots. I hear about how he has all the shots. I mean, he hit 22 out of 36 greens at Valhalla in the PGA. Hit 21 out of 28 fairways. I mean, that's pretty good. Those fairways are wide. I mean, that for a major championship, I'm not sure what they got going on there, because that's a wide, and it gets wider when it rains, and I get it, but I mean, that just doesn't look like it just doesn't look like well, it sure doesn't look like most majors, but it just doesn't remind me of a major championship. Springtime in Kentucky, maybe you can't get the golf course like, firm and fast like they like it at major championships, but boy, those fairways look awful wide. And when it rains, they get really wide, because then the ball just hits and it stops. It's not going to roll, and you got to fly it into trouble. So Tiger hit a lot of fairways. He didn't hit very many greens. 22 out of 36 greens. That's 11 greens around. And I got to say that since Tiger started announcing that he has all the shots, and that's him telling the media what he wants them to say. And I heard actually in one of the press conferences, somebody in the media said, Tiger, we know you have all the shots. And they're just repeating what he said. Tiger, we know you have all the shots, but how do you think the walking will be here? And when I look and I see, I don't see all the shots. Like with the driver, all I see is a slice. I mean, I haven't seen anything but a cut. That's all I see. Now, with today's equipment and with the way that his back is, it's hard to draw the ball with today's equipment. Maybe it's not even possible. But when his iron play, and he does seem to be driving it pretty decent, but with his iron play, he was the best iron player that the game of golf has ever seen. No, I firmly believe that no one has ever struck their irons better than Tiger. I watched it for 6 years. I used to stand on that driving range and think, this guy never misses a shot. I mean, so solid, perfect divot every time, just clipping the grass, controlling his trajectory, hitting the 9 shots, straight ball, low, medium, and high, right to left, low, medium, high, left to right, low, medium, and high. You call it. He just what do you want? And he would put it out there. It was absolutely amazing. And to think that he only hit 22 greens when he only missed 7 fairways, it's hard for me to even imagine that. So I don't think he has all the shots. I mean, I hear about it. You hear him say that, but I don't think he has all the shots. And his putting, back-to-back 3 putts in one round. He got 3 out of 5 up and in out of the sand traps, but 2 of them they didn't get up and in. He didn't even get it on the green. He left one in the bunker, knocked one over the green from the bunker. So that's not good. I mean, you can think of the up and in percentage is pretty good, but if you've got what I call a 2 chip on 2 holes, then that negates the up and ins. At least 2 of the up and ins that you made, and that's what leads you to double bogeys. And double bogeys you can't play with. I mean, you can't play the PGA Tour double bogeys. You sure can't win golf tournaments with double bogeys. So I don't know if he has the shots. Maybe he does. I hear guys say he's got the shots, but the guys that say he has the shots, I don't know if they really know what it really looks like when he was great, really great. I know Justin Thomas will say Tiger's hitting it great, or at the Masters when they play a practice round. Fred Couples will always say he's hitting it great. I mean, that's all he can say about Tiger. He's hitting everything great. But I don't know if it's great compared to what they did, or great compared to what Tiger did. I tend to believe maybe it's not. Tiger's played 11 consecutive rounds of par or worse in major championships. Now those are the hardest tests. He hasn't played, but he beat a few club pros in Kentucky. He beat John Daly. He beat Sean McKeel and Padraig Harrington. He didn't beat many other people. 7 over par. The cut was 1 under. 8 shots out of the 8 shots off the cut. 4 shots around. 12 shots. 12 under was leading. 19 shots off the lead after 2 rounds. And you can't coulda, woulda, shoulda. If I'd have gotten it a little, if I made a couple more putts, if I got a few more up and in, if I hit a couple more greens, you'd be 13 shots behind, 12 shots behind. You're still getting boat raced. And so it makes me wonder, the elephant in the room, and nobody's talking about it. But the elephant in the room is like, how much longer will Tiger do this? Like, because it strikes me that, like, lately, and he doesn't play much, but the Masters, and that was a great accomplishment making the cut. But the Masters, the PGA, I mean, is he going to be happy, or content with being a ceremonial golfer? But I really think that Tiger really, really, really he hasn't gotten to play golf for a long, long time. Like, and he hasn't been in contention in a long time, but he hasn't gotten to play golf. And I think I think there was a time when he wasn't, enamored with golf. Maybe when he, this is back to 2010 or whatever, 9, when he wanted to be a Navy SEAL. But I think now he's missed golf, and he would love to play. And it makes me think he's going to keep going on. It's just, he's going to keep going on because he's at home. He must see that he must play some good rounds. I mean, he wouldn't be out there if he's shooting 74s at home. He must be playing some good rounds, hitting some great shots, and think, what, maybe I can put this together. We'll see. There's 2 more majors this year. At Pinehurst, and then I think they go to Troon. Now Troon, any of the Open Championships, those would be the ones where you would think Tiger could maybe do something. It's a flat course. It won't be the hardest walk he has. Pinehurst, boy, those greens are tough. They're small. You hit on the green, it rolls off the green. You're left with a lot of chips and pitches that are difficult, or putts from off the green. If you haven't practiced and your short game isn't on point, and he goes out there and hits 11 greens around, he ain't gonna make the cut at the U.S. Open. Not if he does that. So his ball striking is gonna have to improve. I mean, it's gonna have to really improve from what he's done statistically in the last 11 rounds of major championship golf. It just it hasn't been there. Will it? You know what? I think the odds are going to keep getting worse and worse and worse if you're betting for Tiger to miss the cut. I mean, just put it that way. If you're betting for Tiger to win the tournament, you're going to get some great odds. But if you're betting for him to miss the cut, I don't think those odds are. You're going to have to bet a lot of money to win a little money, because the odds are against it. It's just like my friend Charles Barkley says, Father Time is undefeated. I see people say that, Tiger can play for a long time, and you would think he could, because if he's hitting it long enough, and he is plenty long enough, why wouldn't he be able to still play? I mean, I can see how he could wear out after 3 or 4 rounds with his condition of his foot and his leg and his back and all that stuff. But that wasn't the problem, because he only played 2 rounds and he didn't play well. But is it still a possibility that he could? And I think it is. It's not probable, but I think we're going to know after these next 2 majors. I think this is going to be the story that everybody's going to cover. The story through the rest of the year. It's been LIV and everything else. The PGA Tour, LIV, players making a lot of money. The big story that's going to go on through the rest of the year is, is Tiger going to keep doing this if he doesn't do something in these next two tournaments he's playing in? The Open, U.S. Open, and then the Open Championship. The U.S. Open is going to be a tough one, and that means that it boils down to the Open Championship. Does he have something at the Open Championship? Because the U.S. Open is just in June. I mean, it's a few weeks away. How's his game going to change in a couple weeks? But the Open Championship, the ultimate golf course for understanding how to play it, and he does. That would be the one that to look for. And what will he do there? And will it be good enough for him to say, you know what, I'm going to keep keeping on, because I think I can. I'm starting to see some signs, and I can get this game back where, you know what, if I can catch lightning in a bottle, I can be in contention. I hope it happens. Because it's golf is better when Tiger Woods is playing. But so far, hasn't been great. Those last 8 stars. All right. Hope everybody enjoyed the podcast. Remember, Bet Online is your number one source for your summer sports this season. From the MLB, golf, NBA, and NHL, you get all the latest stats, news, scores available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. You can head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. BetOnline.ag, that's where you find it. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts. Hope everybody has a great day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon on the Hank Haney Podcast.